just looking at all the light out here. The light that brought us here, we're building our family, our human family, on one thing, the cornerstone of love. That's it. That's the thing. That's the glue that holds everything together. That's the thing that gives everything meaning. So why aren't we focused on that? Why isn't that our primary goal in life? It's just because we're distracted. We are distracted, and we've given power to that being, that personality, that sense of individual, separate self that we are in the world. Instead of giving that self to the greater self, to God, we're giving that self autonomy. And so what happens, we end up fighting all the other selves to preserve our autonomy, to preserve our identity, to preserve the one thing that's blocking our awareness of our power, of our wholeness, of our perfection. So today I want to tell you something, that there is one that is greater, and that one is within you. There is one that is greater than the one that is in the world, and that one is the divine Spirit that is in you. And I'm going to read that scripture today finally, because 2 weeks ago I was giving the message and I said in 1 John chapter 4, and I turned around and there was no Bible there. And later on we're driving, on Sunday we go and visit my mom, so we're driving to my mom's house, and Lily says to me, "Weren't you going to read that scripture?" And I said, "I was, but when I turned around there was nothing there." I had forgotten to put this right. I'm going to put it here this time. There. And we'll give it a little ding. See, that'll remind me that it's actually there. So how many of you here today have experienced a challenge in your life, like a death in the family, an illness, a personal illness, or someone else being ill? Maybe 2 deaths in the family. I don't know. Sorry, I'm 3. Oh my gosh. Or you've experienced some kind of financial difficulty. Or a family member who was addicted to drugs. Or someone in your family, all of them. Somebody experienced all of the above. So a lot of these things are going on in the world, in your world. What gets you through? What got you through? How come you're sitting here smiling at me today? Something got you through. What was it? God? What else? What got you through?
Unity.
Unity, other people, community, love, family, angels, nature. And I want to say that the one thing that all of those things are connected to is you, the divine self within you. If you didn't connect to those things, it wouldn't be happening. So greater is the one within you than the one who is in the world. That is what got you through. The God in you, the perfection in you, the one that knows all is well because all is God, the one that knows no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the situation, there's something else going on. There's a greater reality, and I need to tune into that greater reality right now. If I want to come back to peace, I need to tune into that. And it's not really something so much that we do, but it's more of something of not doing, of being, of allowing that connection to take place. Because it's already true. It's already what the universe is. It's already all around us and within us. And that being within you has brought you through so many different difficult times. And guess what? Some of us, I can see you sitting here, are unwilling to see things as a difficult time anymore. Because you've experienced the worst and you made it through. And you said, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to see the good. I'm going to see the God in everything. I'm going to see the good. I'm going to see the God in everyone. I'm going to stop judging the other selves to protect the autonomy of this self, because this human self is really blocking my awareness of my spiritual self. Unless, and we talked about this yesterday, we give our human self to our God self. The ego in service to the spirit. The separate mind in service to the one mind. The human being in service to the God being. That's what this particular teaching is leading us to surrender ourselves, not to give up, but to surrender ourselves to a greater power, and to know that power is indeed within us. Eric Butterworth challenges us to remember who we are, to remember that. I don't know if you know this book, Discover the Power Within You. Do some of you guys know this book and read? This is a Unity classic. And I would recommend keeping it on your bookshelf or your nightstand. And I don't care how many times I read it, I hear it for the first time, and I read something I hadn't really grasped initially. And what I was reading this week was this wonderful thing. Jesus knew that the spirit of the human being, of man, is a miracle-working power. He knew that we do not experience this power because we make it too hard for spirit to express. We judge ourselves and the world by appearances. We measure our possibilities by our past experiences rather than by our innate potentialities, he calls it. So rather than doing that, this is what Jesus is saying over and over again. Know the truth about yourself, about the indwelling potential of your own divinity. Know the divine law, and open your inner eye to see life from a higher dimension. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Knowing the truth will come through experiencing the truth. You have to experience yourself as something different. And we all have. That's why I asked you to get in touch with that part of you that made it through and is sitting here today, is experiencing peace and joy in this moment. And if you're not experiencing peace and joy, that's okay. Be exactly where you are and know that that is the perfect place. That whatever healing I need and whatever learning I need, I'm in the perfect place to experience that. I'm moving through something and I'm letting go of the past. If we keep telling that old story, what happens? That becomes our present story. Heal it now. Let it go. Let it be. It's what is. You can't change it. And it's only what appears to be, because what actually is your wholeness, is the perfection of the universe. And it's giving you everything. And it's asking me, what do you want? What do you want from the universe? What do you want right now? Can you tell me? Can you put it into words? Can you put it into vibration? Can you put it out so that I can give you what you need and what you want? That's all we have to do. Get in touch with what it is that our heart is telling us and ask the universe specifically. And then receive. I am here to receive the blessings of the universe. And the only way to do that is to view myself as I was created by God, not as I have made myself. I have made a mistake about myself. I've made errors about who I am. And this is why the greatest thing you can possibly do for the world is to wake up to who you are. Is to go through your own transformation, to wake up to exactly the nature of who you really are, your Christ nature. So my question is, if this Christ nature exists, why don't we experience it all the time? Why do we wait for some crisis to happen before we start praying for each other? As human beings, we apparently live in two worlds. This is again from, I was reading Eric Butterworth. He says, we live simultaneously in earth and heaven, but we think that it's happening sequentially, in succession. That we live on earth and we do whatever we do here, then we have to die, and then maybe we'll go to heaven. If you're good, girls and boys. But nobody really knows the rules. Like, how good do you have to be? Can I get away with a few little... When I was a kid, I used to go to confession and ask the priest, these aren't really big sins. Can I still go to heaven? Yeah, say a couple of All Our Fathers and Hail Marys. And I'm like, wow, that's all you have to do? I was like, great. How far? Now I can do anything I want. I love it. You can do anything you want anyway. The thing is, you're always just affecting yourself. Like, what do you want really, truly from the universe? We feel like we need to protect ourselves by attacking others. And this is like really a disease of the human mind, of the separate human mind. That you feel that your protection is in attacking others and judging others and putting others outside of you. You feel like, now I'm really strong because I've got them, in this little definition here. And as long as I keep them there, I'm safe. Oh no, you don't understand. That is a reflection of you. Whoever that person is, they're reflecting a part of your mind. And if it's not feeling good, if it's a nasty attack or whatever it might be, that's a part of your mind that needs to be healed. That's all. That's just a part of your experience you haven't let go yet. Once you let it go, wow, what a ride. What a ride, not taking anything personally. That's one of the 4 agreements, right? Don't take anything personally. Now, that's a very deep truth. If you really practice that, then you can never complain about the world again. I love it. So we view ourselves both as human beings and spiritual beings. And we also view it as like it's a succession, like a linear process. I'm on earth and then maybe I'll go to heaven, I don't know. But what if we're in heaven already? What about that? What if we never left? Wow, what a thought, what an idea. I often hear that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And people, oh yes, I believe that. I have a problem with that. I have a little problem with that because our human experience is often so stressful. It's full of pain and conflict. And that doesn't look like a spiritual being having an experience. A spiritual being having a human experience, wouldn't you see everything is lovely and wonderful and transformative and healing and God expressing itself in the universe and in realms upon realms of beauty and love and joy? Yes, Patricia says yes. Because as you mature in your spiritual life, you do begin to experience that. And you begin to understand that everything is spiritual. We were watching a show last night, excellent show on Netflix. If anyone comes across this, I wholeheartedly recommend to watch this show called Heal. It's a documentary about modern healers. And it's all the great guys who do it scientifically as well. They have there's a marriage of science and spirit. Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden, Marianne Williamson is there on that one. So many others. And they're all talking with people who have experienced spiritual healing and what that includes to them as a spiritual being experiencing a physical body. And they all come back to it's all spirit. It's all consciousness. It's all mind. And when you are focused on this self that you think you are, that self is subject to either joy or pain. But the spiritual self is not. It experiences only joy. And really the only thing you finally learn is you don't want the pain. You don't want the sickness and the suffering. And you can see God in all things. God is in everything because God is in my mind. That's a high spiritual truth from A Course in Miracles. So during this show, somewhere along the way, we were praying yesterday. We had our prayer session and our prayer training. They said, why do people seem to be healed when groups of people pray for them? Like one person was going through all of the medical procedures and then went to every faith healer and spiritual healer in town, and nothing really seemed to be working. But all of a sudden, and they couldn't figure out the disease either. It was an autoimmune kind of thing. All of a sudden, she's laying there in the hospital, and she says, I'm going to die, right? This is it. It's over for me. And a couple hours later, she wakes up, and she goes, I'm going to be healed. I'm feeling much better. And then in a day, in a week, in a month, she's better and better and better and better. And she finds out that there was a group of her friends praying for her. That made the difference. She didn't actually do anything, but they were connected to each other energetically. And so they asked Greg Braden, they say, how is that possible that a group of people over here, maybe in another town, are praying for you, maybe in another country, they're praying for you and you get well? How is that possible? He says, very simple. It's one of the basic fundamental laws of quantum mechanics. It's called entanglement. It's that when we're all part of the same thing, even cellularly, we're all part of whatever the universe is, and we were separated during the Big Bang, and so we all retain the same makeup. We retain the same atoms and molecules that make up the whole universe. We're made of stardust, right? And he said, if we are the same thing, what happens when you apparently separate the two atoms, and you do one, something happens to one over here, exactly at the same time, this one's experiencing the exact same thing. That's why meditation works. That's why when you pray for others, it works. That's why when you send out good wishes and kind blessings to everyone, that's why Jesus said, love your neighbor and love God and love your enemy. Because when you are loving and sending out well wishes, it works. Forget all this stuff. There's too much stuff going around. We got right into the game of look at what this guy's doing today. Look at what this one's doing today. Isn't that horrible? I can't wait until we blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. What are you doing in your mind to yourself? Do you know what you're doing? You're creating sickness. You're creating stress in your own system by judging others, by complaining about it. Please, listen to me today. Greater is the one within you than the one who is in the world. And I hear the bell, so I have to... I knew it would work. Did you remember the bell? I forgot all about it, and then all of a sudden, I heard the bell. Okay. Now this is Paul's, or it's in John actually. They don't know who wrote those books in the end in the New Testament. Paul was said to have written most of them, but he had a guy following him around doing it. It was like a secretary. Someday you'll read all of these messages that I left up here on Sunday. Leonard collects them and he puts them on my desk. And so we'll gather them all together and see what I said. All right, that's the wrong page. That's Luke. We want to go to John. 1 John chapter 4. I'm going to need glasses for this one. This is one of my favorite scriptures. And in the beginning, it needs a little metaphysical treatment. So bear with me. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. What the heck does that mean? Just don't believe everything you hear. That's what it means. Don't believe everything you think. Try the Spirit. Many false prophets means you've been sending out a lot of prayers, negative energy. We talked about that yesterday. Patricia was saying, be careful of what you think. Your thoughts are prayers. If you're thinking negative thoughts, you're sending out false prophets. What's a prophet? A prophecy. It's something that's going to happen, right? So I'm saying what I want to happen. Through my thoughts, through my words, and through my interactions with you, I'm putting out into the world what I want to happen. And when I'm putting out what I really don't want, all that negative stuff, those are false prophets. So that's how we know the Spirit of God. That everyone who confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is of God. Oh my God, how many religions have been based on that? How many judgmental doctrines and dogmas have been based on that one? Everyone who confesses Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is born of God. And everybody else? What about them? No, it needs a little interpretation. Everyone who acknowledges that Jesus experienced his Christ self, that he came into a realization, an awareness, an illumination of who he was as a creation of an unlimited power, an unlimited God, then you are of God because you recognize it can happen to somebody else. Oh, that guy woke up, I can too. That's all that means. It doesn't mean if I'm praying to Allah or Muhammad or if I'm any other religion or faith or spiritual practice that I'm not of God. It doesn't mean that. It means if you can acknowledge that guy woke up, you can wake up. That's all it means. We've got to get past all this crazy doctrine. What it really says. Get to the sense of it, the meaning behind the words, what it was really meant to tell you. So here's the part that I want to get to. I'll just get right to it. You are of God, little children, and you have overcome them, those thoughts, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world, therefore they speak of the world, and the world hears them. So when he's saying they, what's he talking about? Those thoughts. Those worldly thoughts. Those separate, limited thoughts. And so what do you get? A separate, limited world all around you. Everybody's separate and limited. Not me, friends. No, I am unlimited. I am free. I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me because I'm not weaving those chains of limited thinking. Okay, we are of God, and he that knoweth God hears us, and he that doesn't know God can't hear us. Hereby we know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God and knoweth God. So all that's saying is if you speak the language of love, those who are willing to receive your love, they're going to receive it. They're going to hear you. And if not, don't worry about it. That's not yours to do. You run into a lot of toxic people in your life. Don't worry about them. Bless them and move on. Like don't stick around trying to fix it because they can't hear you. Basically, that's all this is saying. There are those who can hear you, and the minute you start to hear it and to get it in your mind, they start looking for you. Literally. Like all you guys, you started looking for me and Lily like years ago. When we started hearing it. It's true. And I was looking for you. Like there's some things that I heard yesterday that I needed to hear to keep me on the path of my own mind. I really need to do this every day. I need to go within and trust that one that's greater. Because the one that's in the world is always making up schemes and plans and manipulating and trying to fix things. And if I just do this, it's going to be all right. I'm going to fix it all up, and then I'm going to be happy. Sure, good luck. No, stop manipulating and start receiving. Right? I love it. So love one another, because this is it. Love is of God, and everyone that loves is born of God and knows God. And he that loveth not knows not God, for God is love. And that's it. God is love, God is love, God is love. Beloved, if God so loved us, we ought also to love one another. For no man in the world has seen God at any time with these eyes. Isn't that incredible? But if we love one another, God dwells in us, and his love is perfected in us. Nobody's going to know the love of God without you, because the love of God is perfected in us. Someone said community got them through. Love got you through. The connection to others. God's love is perfected in us. If we love one another, then we will all just be courageous. Stop fighting with anybody. Stop complaining about people. Stop trying to fix it. Just love. Please, just love. Just accept. Just include. Just be the Christ as best you can be today. And tomorrow, you'll be happier. And you'll be the Christ better tomorrow. Because that Christ is in you. And it's wanting to come out into the world. And you're blocking it by the self that you created to be opposite of the Christ. I saw a wonderful thing, and I'll conclude with this. We have an epidemic of depression in the United States. We should be the richest and happiest people in the world, and we are not. We're depressed. And you know why? This is from Jim Carrey. Right? He says, depressed means we need deep rest. And you know what why we're so tired? He said, we're tired of playing the role, the character of that person that you're playing in the world. You're tired of pretending to be somebody you're not. You're tired of the self that's not you. That's not the Christ. That's not the Buddha. That's not the being that you were created to be. You're tired of that little character that's pretending not to be the great, perfect I am within. I am that I am. So every time you say I am, follow it up with something beautiful, will you? I am the perfect love of God in action. Right? Yes, absolutely. And get some deep rest from that self. Okay? And you'll be fine. I love you guys.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at www.unityoncapecod.org.